June, 323 BC. Babylon. A city humming with the ambitions of the greatest conqueror the world had ever known. Alexander the Great, just 32 years old, stood at the precipice of even grander campaigns. Yet, within mere days, this titan would be gone. His death remains one of history's most profound and persistent mysteries. Was it a natural end to a life lived on the edge, or was the ultimate price paid for power a carefully orchestrated act of betrayal? The evidence is fragmented, the theories numerous. We embark on a journey into the heart of this ancient puzzle. Alexander had returned to Babylon after his arduous Indian campaigns. A city of immense strategic and symbolic importance. It was here, amidst preparations for an Arabian expedition, that the first signs of trouble emerged. Accounts differ, subtly but significantly, on the precise beginning of his illness. A celebratory feast. Heavy drinking. Then, a sudden, debilitating sickness. The narrative quickly diverges into two principal pathways: a natural disease, or something far more sinister. The stakes were monumental. A vast empire, held together by the force of one man's will. The evening of May 29th. A lavish symposium. Heavy drinking. The common thread in nearly all historical sources. Alexander, renowned for his robust constitution, was engaging in a drinking contest. Or was it simply a series of extended revelries? Some accounts suggest a sudden, sharp pain after consuming a large bowl of unmixed wine. Others imply a more gradual onset of fever. This initial divergence is crucial. Was the pain immediate, indicative of poison? Or did the fever build, pointing to a more common ailment exacerbated by excess? The starting point dictates the journey. The illness lasted approximately 12 days. A rapid, horrifying decline for a man previously invincible. We see Alexander, first with a persistent fever, then chills, sweats, and severe bodily pain. By June 5, he was reportedly too weak to rise from his bed. Accounts describe him barely able to speak. A commander who had once rallied armies with his voice, now silenced. The deterioration was relentless, baffling his physicians, and terrifying his inner circle. Each passing day saw a further erosion of the empire's linchpin. The symptoms recorded by ancient historians offer a chilling but incomplete picture. High fever. Shivering fits. Intense thirst. Extreme pain in the back and joints. Eventually, a loss of speech and paralysis. These descriptions, though not clinical diagnoses, are our primary window into Alexander's suffering. Were these symptoms consistent with known diseases of the era? Or did they point to something far more insidious? Ancient medicine, despite its advancements, lacked the diagnostic tools we possess today. Every observation was vital, every detail potentially damning. The central question: natural illness or intentional poisoning? If natural, theories range from malaria, West Nile virus, typhoid fever, or even pancreatitis due to his heavy drinking. All plausible. But the rapid decline, the specific sequence of symptoms, the sudden onset after a feast, these details lend themselves to a different interpretation. The sudden incapacitation of such a pivotal figure rarely occurs without suspicion. The political climate was volatile. The implications of a natural death versus an assassination plot dramatically shift the historical narrative. Alexander's reputation for heavy drinking is well documented. A common practice in Macedonian culture, especially during celebrations. Could chronic alcohol abuse, culminating in a final, excessive binge, have been the primary culprit? Pancreatitis, or alcoholic liver disease, could explain many of the reported symptoms: severe abdominal pain, fever, and general systemic failure. His body, already weakened by years of campaigning, wounds, and exposure to various diseases, might have finally succumbed to the strain. A tragic, self-inflicted end for a titan of conquest. Consider the context. Alexander had been campaigning for over a decade. He sustained numerous wounds, some severe. He'd been exposed to countless pathogens across 3 continents. His diet, though probably varied, wasn't always consistent. His stress levels would have been immense. Then, the heavy drinking. Ancient accounts often describe symposia lasting for days. It's not just a single night. This cumulative lifestyle could have rendered him vulnerable to even a common infection. His youth, at 32, might mask the internal toll exacted by such a relentless existence. Medical historians, using the detailed symptom lists, have proposed several infectious diseases. Malaria, endemic in the region, is a strong contender, accounting for fever, chills, and weakness. Typhoid fever, with its prolonged fever, abdominal pain, and potential for delirium, also fits some descriptions. More recently, West Nile virus, prevalent in marshy areas like Babylon, has been suggested. Each offers a plausible explanation for the general decline. Yet, none fully explain every single reported symptom, nor the unusual rapidity for someone of Alexander's apparent vigor. The gaps remain. Let's compare 2 leading natural disease candidates. Malaria, common to the marshes of Babylon, presents with cyclical fevers, chills, and sweating. These match several of Alexander's reported symptoms. However, paralysis or speech loss are less typical. Typhoid fever, on the other hand, can cause prolonged high fever, abdominal pain, and delirium, even leading to stupor. While it can be fatal, a 12-day rapid onset leading to paralysis might be atypical. Each has strengths in explaining aspects of the illness, but also weaknesses in fitting the full clinical picture described. It's a medical puzzle, seen through the lens of millennia. And then, the whisper. The assassination theory. It gained traction almost immediately after his death and has persisted through the ages. A convenient narrative for those who wish to discredit rivals or a genuine historical conspiracy. The motive? Power. The vast empire was a prize too rich to leave to chance. Alexander had become increasingly autocratic, alienating many of his closest companions. He had also begun to execute high-ranking officers for insubordination. Fear, ambition, and a sense of grievance could all fuel a plot. But who? And with what means? If poison was the weapon, who wielded it? The list of potential conspirators is long and intertwined with the very fabric of Alexander's empire. His generals, the Diadochi, soon to carve up his kingdom. His Persian wife, Roxanne, and her mother, desperate to secure their son's succession. Even Alexander's former regent, Antipater, and his son Cassander had reasons to fear Alexander's increasingly erratic behavior and purges. Discontent simmered among the Macedonian old guard. Too many hands reaching for the crown. Too many grievances unaddressed? Each a potential thread in a lethal tapestry. The most prominent theory points to Antipater, Alexander's regent in Macedon, and his son Cassander. Alexander had grown suspicious of Antipater's loyalty, allegedly planning to replace him. Cassander, summoned to Babylon, was publicly humiliated by Alexander. He had every reason to fear for his life and his family's position. Stories circulated that Antipater sent the poison, perhaps via Cassander or Iolaus, his brother, who served as Alexander's cupbearer. The details are tantalizing, yet unconfirmed. This theory provides a clear motive, a plausible means, and a historical context of fear and resentment. Could ancient poisons have mimicked Alexander's symptoms? The ancients were skilled in toxicology. Hemlock, arsenic, strychnine, all were known. Hemlock causes progressive paralysis, speech loss, and eventually respiratory failure. Strychnine leads to violent convulsions, muscle spasms, and can be fatal in minutes. Arsenic, a slower-acting poison, could induce vomiting, diarrhea, and fever, fitting some descriptions. The challenge, delivering a slow-acting poison that would take 12 days to kill, yet appear like a natural illness. A sophisticated act. not a simple, immediate fatal dose. This speaks to planning, patience, and precise knowledge. One intriguing theory, bolstered by modern toxicological analysis, suggests veratrum album or white hellebore. This plant, known to the ancients, produces symptoms that closely align with Alexander's recorded decline: cardiac issues, gastrointestinal distress, weakness, and paralysis. Crucially, a slow-acting preparation of white hellebore, administered in small doses, could indeed prolong the illness over the 12-day period, gradually weakening the victim without immediate, obvious signs of poisoning. It provides a compelling match between historical symptoms and botanical properties. A hidden killer, subtly at work. In his final days, Alexander was reportedly mute. Unable to speak, he could only communicate through gestures. A horrifying fate for a man whose very voice commanded empires. His generals, one by one, were allowed to file past his deathbed, a somber procession witnessing the decline of their god-king. Was this silence merely the progression of disease, or a cruel tactic by his killers to prevent him from identifying them, from issuing final commands, from naming an heir? The silence itself speaks volumes, deepening the mystery surrounding his ultimate departure. Alexander's death left a colossal power vacuum. He had no clear, legitimate heir. When asked on his deathbed to whom he bequeathed his empire, he reportedly whispered, "To the strongest." This ambiguity ignited decades of conflict, the Wars of the Diadochi, which ultimately shattered his vast empire into several Hellenistic kingdoms. His failure to name a successor, whether due to his sudden illness or deliberate obfuscation, was the catalyst for generations of warfare. The empire, forged by his genius, unraveled in the absence of his guiding hand. So, what killed Alexander the Great? Was it the ravages of war, the excesses of celebration, the bite of an insect, or the cold calculation of human ambition? Despite millennia of debate, no definitive answer has emerged. The evidence, obscured by time and filtered through biased historical accounts, allows for multiple interpretations. The mystery of Alexander's death serves as a potent reminder that even the most powerful figures are ultimately subject to the frailties of the human condition, or perhaps, the machinations of those closest to them. His legend, however, remains undiminished. A conqueror, an enigma, forever etched in the annals of time.